SABC News reporter Mahlako Komane is on the story for us. Let's get the latest from her. Mahlako, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. A busy day, of course, and I'm sure a lot of anxiety amongst pupils and officials alike. Talk to us about what to expect.
Yes, quite right. A lot of anxiety, but I suppose for the top 20 matriculants that are here and will be here today, for them it's just a matter of finding out exactly why, they got that call to come to Johannesburg this evening to come and receive, I suppose, the various accolades that they've achieved, be it for the different subjects that, they've done very well in. But, as we said that, with education, teachers quite an integral part of the system. It is teachers that, have to stand in front of that classroom to ensure that learning does take place. But we know that there is a briefing that has just taken place between, the stakeholders. I understand that that briefing is done, and it took place between teacher unions as well as, I think, the various school governing bodies. I suppose they now have a brief of what happened, particularly to the class of 22. But we all wait to see that, the big announcement in terms of that national pass rate, as well as, I suppose, the entire country, people in the various provinces waiting to see how, they have performed. Have there been improvements in that package that you played earlier on? We did see that last year there was improvement in the Eastern Cape, as well as there was an improvement in the Eastern Cape and I think in the Northern Cape as well, where we saw those provinces finally moving into that 70% threshold. I'm also seeing that learners are beginning, those top learners are beginning to arrive with their parents. There is that technical briefing at 4 o'clock. Then at 6, we will be getting the speech or the announcement by the minister. But let me bring in teacher union Sadtu's let me bring in the General Secretary, Mugwena Maluleke, and I'm just going to speak to him about, are they happy? We know that they have a lot of members in terms of educators. I think they have the biggest membership in terms of teachers, unionized teachers. But let's just rather talk to him and speak to him and find out, are you happy? Thank you so much for having us, Mr. Maluleke. Are you happy with what you are finding or what you are hearing, if you're able to share that with us?
Unfortunately, I'm not able to share everything with you. However, what we know is what we have seen, is what we have done. As the teachers, we know that in a crisis, the class of 2022 was going to emerge as fighters, and they will emerge as fighters, and therefore we are happy that we have been able to arrive where we are. They were able to arrive despite load shedding, despite COVID. They were not going to be defeated by COVID. So I'm happy about that, the journey that they've taken.
Talking about COVID, we know that it became a money game in terms of what schools were and were not able to afford. This obviously speaks directly to your members, which are educators. What are you hearing? Has that supported the funds, the monies that government has spent to try, and bring everybody else on par as far as they possibly can? Are they getting enough support in terms of teacher development? Are they getting enough support in terms of resources, the basic resources? You've got some schools' infrastructure is a problem. What are you hearing from members?
Our members are saying they need more support and more support. And in 2022, we have seen that the TUC, which is a teacher union collaboration, where we are training, we can see now that we can reap the fruit of proper teacher development, because it's very important that the teachers are always developed. So our teachers are still calling for support in terms of mental health. They're calling for psychosocial support. And we have seen that the teachers need that, because you cannot have teachers sleeping at school over the weekend, working over the holidays, and therefore they get 3 weeks of rest. That is going to cause burnout. Therefore, we need support. For them to be able to do what they're doing, we need a lot of support, both in terms of finances, but also in terms of training.
And where educators are involved in irregularities in the examination, what conversation are you having with members there? What conversation have you been having as well with the department?
With the department, we have been saying that the departments must conduct a thorough investigation whether the teachers have been involved and with the learners and so forth, and so that we can then be able to see tough actions being taken. We're not going to nurse those who are damaging the profession, damaging the hard work that the other teachers are doing. Because if one teacher is going to be out of line, it is always going to tarnish the entire teaching. However, we are happy that the results have been withheld for those particular areas, and therefore we are waiting for the investigation. We are having a conversation with our members and say, please don't embarrass us. Don't embarrass yourself. This profession is about the nation. It's not about you. And therefore you need to stay away from these particular things because no crime pays.
And in terms of, we do know that there has been a conversation on social media. I am going to mention Sadtu being one of the teacher unions that come to mind, where they're saying that they feel, members don't really do the work in some schools where you see a lot of absenteeism, teachers that during school hours people are shopping and etc. Are you also having, as a union, spreading that gospel or the message of, responsibility in terms of the job that you do, which is to educate?
Yes, teaching is about caring, and therefore we are saying to our members, look, if you are a revolutionary in Sadtu, the first thing is to teach. And the second thing is to make sure that your learners can take cue from you in terms of them being able to learn, go back to the nation, go back to their communities and work. And therefore we are saying it is unfortunate that, yes, we still have those particular people who will be roaming around during school hours in complexes, and therefore we do not want to label them as members of SADC or members of any other union. They must label them as teachers. We don't want to see them there. We want to see them in the classroom, and therefore we have a campaign. You know about our campaign. Our campaign is very simple. It's I'm a school fan. Love your school. Make sure that you are prepared. Make sure that you are on task. Make sure that you are prepared. You behave professional every Friday. That's what we do.
And lastly, and maybe briefly, the safety of teachers in schools. We've seen school violence going up. What are you getting from members on the ground?
The members are really worried about violence, and therefore we are losing good teachers because they cannot remain in an environment where they are being targeted and being killed. So unfortunately, the nation has got to come together and support our teachers and make sure that our schools are safe. If we can hire police, police are not going to be there forever. We need to rewire our minds and begin to be South Africans and Africans.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mugwena Maluleke there from Sadtu, telling us about, speaking. He will not share with us what transpired at that briefing, by saying that the class of 2022, they will emerge as fighters. So perhaps an indication of what we can expect earlier on. I'm not completely sure, but also speaking to the issue of educators, because they are part of the, the important, one of the cornerstones of education is the educators that you have, saying that teachers are crying out. Teachers are saying that some of them are saying that they are burnt out, crying out for the resources, crying out, for psychosocial support, the conditions that they face. We know school safety or violence in schools quite a topical issue. But for now, it would seem like the word that I heard there is that the class of 2022 will emerge as fighters. So quite exciting times. We will be seeing what is it, that they have managed to achieve as the class of 2022. Let me move out of shot. I see this behind me there, or this in front on the shot. This is the arrival of those top learners there, Unanti. As you can see, they are getting that accreditation. Parents have also been invited, I suppose, to come and partake in that particular, in their children's achievements in terms of what it is that they've done. But here, somewhere in this group here, there is the country's top matric learner that has outdone everyone in terms of achieving, academically at school. They will find out in a few hours, I suppose, slightly earlier than most people. But what we do know here, this is, as I'd said, the creme de la creme of academic achievement for the class of 2022. And they will know in a few hours exactly what it is that they've achieved coming in from the various provinces. After this, they will make their way, to be part of those ceremonies that will be taking place, across the award ceremony across the various provinces. But quite an anxious time, but also, I suppose, exciting times as we wait for that briefing, that speech, the minister's announcement at 6 o'clock this evening, to find out what exactly this class of 2022 that sat for the National Senior Certificate last year has managed to achieve. Will they improve from the 76% in 2021? As well as in 2020, will they do better than them? Will they match that? We'll see. We'll all know in a few hours. Unat.
Well, thank you so much for that. Of course, I actually absolutely love what your guest said there, that, you know, this class will certainly emerge as fighters. Mahlako, of course, we will continue, you know, to keep coming back to you as you give us the latest from where you are. Thank you so much for your time. Mahlako Komane there, our SABC reporter, keeping us up to breast in terms of, you know, just to the lead up to those announcements and those results announcements for the matric class of 2022.